It's our first episode on this podcast, which we're calling Autoimmune Alchemy from Science to Soul.
At last, we're finally here. We get to share our highs and lows, all the pearls that we learned, and really our journey. It's one of a kind, it's a personal gift to our world.
I know we've been talking about doing a podcast for a couple years now, and it's finally coming to fruition. And I am Dr. Micah Yu. I'm a board certified integrative rheumatologist. So I'm board certified in rheumatology, internal medicine, also integrative medicine and functional medicine, and certified in lifestyle medicine as well. And you are?
I'm Dr. Mondala. I'm board certified in family medicine, lifestyle medicine, and also a fellow of integrative medicine and health coaching. So many things on my background, but I'm here for you as your not only cheerleader, but your science guide.
And we are husband and wife, and we're both doctors. So this is a big passion of ours to start an integrative podcast on health.
I'm really excited because we've seen so many patients and heard so many questions, and now we get to start to answer these questions and be there for our family out there, our community, our world. And I really want to know your story from your eyes and ears, because sometimes as patients, we hold it all in. We just go, and we don't reflect. And at times we don't realize that we're in pain, we're in agony, and sometimes even isolated.
I know. Yeah, this first episode is going to be sort of my journey of healing with my autoimmune disease and chronic illness with my arthritis, not only through my lens, but through your lens as well, because you were there with me through medical school to see me suffer through this pain. And I'm excited about this podcast, not only for this episode, but just in general, because we have so much to offer with so much knowledge that we've gained over the years with lifestyle medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine, and your integrative psychiatry background as well. I think there's a lot to be learned from all these discussions we're going to have with ourselves and also with our guests as well.
I know, right? We studied it all: gut health, mental health, whole system health, heart health. We know how all these symptoms impact our lives, our patients' lives, and we've seen the science grow. And finally, more and more people are talking about it, but there's still so much more that we need to uncover.
Yeah. So on this first episode, we're going to talk about my disease, which I have since 17 years old with gout, of course, which is not an autoimmune disease. And then over the years, I mean, before you met me, I was suffering from my arthritis that really transformed from gout to then a known illness with constant arthritis, head to toe. And before you met me in medical school, I was out of school for 2 weeks. I couldn't attend school because of the pain and the fevers that were persistent with this arthritis. And you met me in medical school and you saw the pain that I went through. Do you remember what kind of pain I had?
Yeah, I think I was just really surprised because I didn't realize that at a young age you can have arthritis, first of all. And this joint pain seemed out of the blue, and sometimes really we couldn't really go to certain social events, and I saw your pain, and sometimes we just go through studying and studying, but I can see you just wanting to lay in bed, close your eyes, not even open your mouth at times. It was really devastating.
Yeah, and the times that I didn't open my mouth was because I my jaw was hurting from the inflammation and the pain. My TMJs were swollen. You saw me just eat yogurt and liquid for days on end because I couldn't open my mouth.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, have you been suffering for this for a while? Have I see you suddenly on your bed, not being able to walk and go to class. And is this something that you're going to live with, for a while? And it was quite frightening because as people who study medicine, we just think, okay, what is it really going to happen to me? It's almost shocking that someone we think as ourselves is so healthy actually get disease.
Yeah, and we were medical students at the time, but both of us couldn't figure out what was going on. We didn't learn about nutrition at that time. And you saw me go to different rheumatologists, and they couldn't figure out it either, which was really frustrating.
Right, and I was thinking, like, your dad's a doctor, a family doctor. What can we do? There's doctors all around us. We've learned the literature. Do we have to be on medications all your life? You were formerly really active. You were, an athlete. You loved running. How can this happen to you? So a lot of questions in our head.
Yeah, luckily during our medical school, we were able to watch lectures from the computer. We didn't always have to go in person. So the days that I did limp, the days I couldn't go to school, at least I was able to go through the lectures from home. But it was a lot of pain and suffering that I thought would last forever.
Yeah, and I was wondering, how did it feel when you first had your joint pain?
It was, being such a young age, having this joint pain is you don't think that it can happen to someone that young. Um, and all your peers and friends, they're out hanging out, partying, and living life and staying up till 3 a.m. without any pain. And you're the odd one out because you have to go home by 11 p.m. You can't party really. You can't eat the same foods that they're eating because you're afraid that you're going to have a breakout or a flare the next day. And a lot of my patients and colleagues that I know that do have a chronic illness, it's a very similar story. They either have neurological flares, rashes, or joint pain or brain fog. Something happens where they flare and they can't hang out with their peers at the same age.
Yeah, I know that must be really hard. And to see that your energy was dropping and to see that you can't enjoy the things you used to and know that your life is different. And how was that mentally for you?
It was challenging. I mean, I was used to it because I didn't hang out as much with people right before medical school because of the pain. So I knew my limitations, but it would still suck because you guys would in medical school after exam, everyone would go to the local bar and hang out and party where I would have to stay at home because I was afraid of flaring the next day or being out too late causing a flare and the fatigue and everything. So um you saw me stay home, sometimes just staying home and studying because even though it was right after exam, I couldn't go out with you guys. So I wanted to get a head start on the next lectures.
Right, which is really motivating for me because I was thinking, wow, he's in so much pain, but he's still studying, he's focused, he's motivated to just understand science and medicine. I was confused. I was thinking, well, maybe he'll get better. I almost brushed it off sometimes. I know other our colleagues and friends would just kind of laugh and like, oh, you have gout, you can't have alcohol, don't give him any drinks, or actually have one. It's just one, but we knew that that was a risk and it would cause more pain later. So it was just this tug of war in the beginning of like, what can we do? What is possible? And at times it was confusing, it was frustrating, but I know that it was actually just helped us become stronger humans and healthier people, all that's well rounded as a physician.
Yeah, it made us more empathetic to our patients because of the pain that I was going through. And during medical rotations, that was challenging too, waking up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to go to your surgery rotations, um, sometimes limping and being in flares, which was really challenging because as an autoimmune patient myself, I need to sleep. And with a lack of sleep, medical school was challenging. But let's fast forward to residency because obviously we ended up graduating from medical school and it was very challenging. But residency presented its own challenges as well. I was limping to my rotations. With ICU rotation and the 24-hour, 30-hour shifts. I'd stay overnight and my attendings would see me limp to the rotations, but you can't really take a day off. I mean, you could, but it doesn't look good. It's frowned upon. The medical culture is very, pretty harsh sometimes. We don't look highly upon taking off days work, even though you're sick. So you just persist through it. And you saw me limp to my rotations on my 30-hour shifts.
Yeah, I think that was just so heartbreaking because I've seen how you struggled through the years and we were still trying to figure it out. Like, okay, we avoid alcohol, we minimize going out, and now you're just in more pain. Was it the lack of sleep? Was it the stress? is there something else we can do in our nutrition and our diet? We were just trying to figure it all out, but all we can do is just go and run because we were pushed by the medicine and by the system. We had to make sure we passed our classes and showed up and got good evaluations because we really felt our life was on the line, our career was on the line, and we know a lot of money and time was going into this, and it's not like we can go back and stop or look the other way. And so we just we persisted and we asked questions.
And luckily, I got diagnosed at Loma Linda University where we did our residency. We couples matched there, internal medicine, family medicine. And luckily, I did get diagnosed with spondyloarthritis after they did an ultrasound of my joints. I actually had my ankle drained. They put a needle in there, you remember, and fluid was taken out, and I got diagnosed pseudo gout there as well. But I ended up getting diagnosed with autoimmune arthritis with spondyloarthritis on top of the gout and the pseudo gout as well. But that finally gave some relief and some answers, even though it was very frustrating to have these problems at still in your 20s.
Right. I can't believe it. Like you asked all these rheumatologists, one in Chicago, right? In Chicago, that's a place where it's the standard American diet, all that greasy food. It was a different culture. They didn't know anything else besides medications at Loma Linda. At least they were a little bit more open to finding other diagnoses.
Right.
And we had more time to actually see how your disease progressed.
But the diet never played a role, at least in the conversation
Right.
with anyone. I mean, we were eating a relatively healthy diet, like a whole foods diet, but we still had a lot of seed oils, a lot of salt, sometimes eat fast food
Right.
at times. So I think for the standard American, we were generally healthier, but we still ate junk food.
Right. And we didn't realize all that inflammation from a lifetime, right? In Chicago, it was pizza and hot dogs and frozen food just to get by because we didn't have time to cook during medical school.
And even rest, you don't have time to cook sometimes.
Yes.
Doing 30-hour shifts, coming home, and I remember falling asleep in the car in the garage because I would come home from 30-hour shifts and then falling asleep with the door open, the garage door open because I was so exhausted. It was a miracle that I even made it through those rotations without much pain
Right.
sometimes.
Exactly. And I was there trying to figure things out. I knew I grew up on healthier foods like fruits and vegetables and figuring out how to bring soups and other things, but it was just a really almost feeling like we were empty. We didn't really have options. We No one really gave us the hope of nutrition and didn't give us alternatives. So we just were grinding.
Yeah, I mean, during our third year of our residency, that's when things sort of turned around, where you found, of course, Loma Linda is known for the blue zone, but it's also where you found whole food plant-based diet as well through the lifestyle medicine department there, where you're doing rotations.
Yeah.
And I remember you cooking a whole food plant-based diet for Thanksgiving. And none of us were used to it.
Yeah, I know, right? Because I wanted to try something wholer, and I've seen some of my actually attending one of my mentors. She had multiple sclerosis, and she was someone who was also fearful of not being able to move and actually not being able to um, use the bathroom and maybe be in a wheelchair and diaper one day. And I saw the fear in her eyes. I also knew that my father had autoimmune disease, so the fact that my own husband had autoimmune disease, it was quite scary, but also I didn't give up. I wanted to find a solution. I wanted to figure out, let's find out food is medicine. And with lifestyle medicine that focuses on all the antioxidants, I really wanted to reset that microbiome and go all in. So after watching Forks Over Knives and reading books like How Not to Die, I've really revamped the way we cooked. I cleaned out the fridge. I did a home pantry makeover because I didn't want any processed foods in the house.
Yeah, and the turning point I think was when we went to Guam at the end of our 30 rotation. I think that was April of 2020, 2018. When we went to Guam for our medical school rotation, not medical school, but our residency rotation where we're gonna go abroad. That's when we saw everyone eating more of a whole, like a plant-based diet over there. It was a Seventh-day Adventist institution, affiliate with Loma Linda University over there. And after that, when I came home, that's when we changed our diet. I watched that documentary, Focus Over Knives. I read some of these plant-based books, and I took a deep dive, and that's when you and I went on a whole food plant-based diet completely. And I think within like a couple weeks, I didn't have any pain, and I noticed that like months went by without pain, and I was shocked. I didn't expect this at all because I was offered medications like methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, or Plaquenil from my attendings, who were my essentially a rheumatologist at that time. And I refused to take these medications because I thought maybe there was a way out with alternative medicine or nutrition. And luckily, it did work. We ate a whole food plant-based diet, and I was able to decrease the pain, and my inflammation markers also went negative as well. And I think my attendings and bosses at the time were shocked. And I got to work with them because I ended up doing rheumatology fellowship at Lowland University. So they were kind of shocked that this can happen because none of us were taught this. None of us learned this through residency, medical school, or even fellowship.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's such a big gap in medical education, and there's so much more to learn. And I knew for myself too, I wanted to eat differently because I also struggled with acne, adult acne. I would have all these pimples, and I'm like, why? I'm trying all the medications. I'm trying all the things that all the dermatologists and the doctors have told me for decades, and nothing is changing my skin microbiome, but also my gut microbiome. It was so, I would say, in whack because I had bloating, loose stools, I had reflux, and sometimes to the most normal things. And I avoided the spicy food, the greasy food, but I was still suffering. And when I minimized, actually eliminated dairy, that helped my microbiome significantly. And it was a fresh start because most of the time people are scared to eliminate all common foods, right? Things that seem okay. But when I ate and introduced more soy foods, and when I was able to introduce more almond-based alternatives, really made a difference in my health. And that's why I said, you know what, Micah, Dr. Yu, let's just try something that I know not only works for me, but I also noticed it in my other patients.
Right. And it's been, what, 7 years since we started that journey. And I mean, we feel good. Our health has gone a lot better. We feel younger. At least I feel younger. I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but
Clear skin. I can go out too and not worry about guts or issues, and also enjoy
yeah, I
things.
feel better than I did in my 20s and even my teenage years where I was severely overweight too. And I mean, this journey that we've gone through has now inspired us and motivated us to pursue other forms of medicine, integrative medicine, which you're almost done with your fellowship, functional medicine, and other alternative ways of healing because we've seen patients heal with so many different ways that we don't talk about in traditional medicine. I think that is really important. That's why we're starting this podcast, because there's so many ways of alternative medicine healing that patients need to know about, that we've seen in our own patients, that we're sometimes surprised that it can help with patients. And I think it's important to deep dive into the science of these topics, but also get testimonials from patients to see why they're healing. Because we're able to heal ourselves, it's important for the world to know what is a possibility because we didn't know these possibilities existed before we went on this journey ourselves.
Right. It's so important to have an open mind, really, because sometimes we only know one way, and that can actually be very harmful for us. It becomes a very biased way of thinking and becomes skewed. And then we look at other things in a very evil way, and we're not trying to demonize anything. We're just trying to open the possibilities because that's where not only faith and spirit and hope comes in, but that is a place of opportunity, a place of love and compassion for our body and the people around us.
Right, right. There's so many ways of healing, and you and I understand that since we've seen so many patients in this alternative space, that there's no one way of healing and there's no one diet for all. At least in my autoimmune space with rheumatology patients, I've seen patients heal from whole food plant-based diet, paleo diets, and even keto diets and Mediterranean diet. So I've seen a blend of all types of patients out there. And I think we need to expand the conversation to see what else can help with patients. So I'm so excited for patients to learn along with us in this journey and find these expert speakers out there, or even just dive into the new literature, the new evidence out there, of potentially fixing ourselves and our patients as well.
Right. There's not only a lot of new things, but there's a lot of other things that we haven't even appreciated from ancient medicine, from other types of healing. And so we want to bring the old and the new, the East and the West, and just synchronize it, harmonize it. There's so much good because we know literally it can be frustrating, it can be saddening, we can have tear, anger, grief, and all of this. But when we allow all methods of healing, we can really provide hope, opportunity, and really lives changed.
Right, right. And we're calling this from science to soul because the science is really important, but there's a spiritual piece here. We all have a soul, and that also plays into our health as well. And it's a whole spectrum that
Yeah.
affects us as human beings.
Yeah, it's so exciting because we get to open these doors and we get to be real and honest and just show that there is so much we have learned, but so much we don't know as humans, as a civilization. And we're going to uncover that, right? You're going to hear all the newest studies, but you're also going to hear what we do in our day-to-day patient lives and even our own personal lives because we have a lot we can learn from and we're humans. And I think that's part of the fun and part of the journey.
And let's talk about how the audience can find us on social media. So why don't you? So we're gonna be co-hosting here, Dr. Melissa Mondala and Dr. Micah Yu. We're gonna be co-hosting this, and we both have different social medias. But I think combining our knowledges together to talk about integrative medicine, especially surround the autoimmune space, which is many different topics, including diabetes, hypertension. All these really affect autoimmune diseases. How can people find you on social media? What's your handle?
Yeah, so my handle is Dr. Melissa's Kitchen, and I'm found on Instagram, also on YouTube and TikTok. All of it just shows my different tips and tricks, but also recipes and tools so that everyone can know all the good that you can try. And it's just all part of the fun. And I introduce hormones and gut health, skin health. I'm a primary care doctor, family medicine doctor as my foundation. So I built upon it, and that's what I get to share.
And what's your website?
Oh, yes, drmelissamandala.com. So you'll get to see more things. Again, I do mental health, integrated health coaching. It's all on there. You'll see me at drmelissamandala.com.
And my handle is my autoimmune MD. That's MY autoimmune MD on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And my website is myautoimmunemd.com, where I have courses. And if you want to work with both of us or one of us as your doctor, then we are found at drlifestyle.org. That's drlifestyle.org. And I'm so excited for all the content we're going to put on this podcast.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of an open door for really all the puzzle pieces that we can put together into this beautiful tapestry of the depth of our health from mind to soul.
All right, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you soon.